Hey everyone, and welcome to our Stage 4 video of the second season of our Timeline Park Contest. Now in this contest all the players have to build a park over the course of a year, and every month they add something to the park. So yeah, we still have quite a lot of players who are still in the contest. So in this video I will go over all the creations that were made for Stage 4. Anyway, this is the entry from Bags. So for Stage 4, he actually added a western area to his park, or more something that looks like a B-movie western set. Now I really like what he made here. These buildings that he made, they all look pretty nice and detailed. Lots of nice little tricks used here. I think these buildings look gorgeous. You can see some skulls here over the gallows. Can see some of these old trucks here. Yeah, I think a B-movie set actually works quite well with a lot of these expansion scenery items, which you normally typically wouldn't use. But here they probably work pretty well since they look pretty fake. So yeah, what we can also see here is now there are now buses. So this is the Poverty Rose studio tour. So these buses take the guests along these all these film sets. So I think that's a really cool addition to the park. It's fun seeing these buses go around here, and it's a ride that really feels at home at one of these old movie sets. So a really fun park. It's really fun to watch it expand. And yeah, I'm really excited for the next stage. Alright, here's Stage 4 from Cazuleo. Now, once again, his story was written as like a scene from a radio show. It was actually quite fun to read. If you remember on my Discord, there's a link that leads to all the stories that were submitted for the parks. So you might want to become a member and read those stories just to get a little bit more backstory about these parks. Anyway, in the previous stage there was an accident in the park with a bridge, but yeah, I believe somewhere over here there was actually some security guards that were being... here you can see them. So there's a new team of security guards here. The island is actually still closed off, but I'm sure in the next stage guests will be able to go onto the island again. Now, yeah, and guests that enter the island, they will be able to ride this new coaster. It's a suspended swinging coaster. It's called Treasure. Yeah, it's kind of like in a jungle theme. There's all these jungle trees, some really nice foliage next to the track. Also some path interaction here. So I think this is a really cool ride. So nice little queue tucked into this corner here. So yeah, I think this is a really cool addition to the park. You can also see this disco ride here. So yeah, again, a really nice park, and yeah, I really cannot wait for the next stage. Really nice work from Cazuleo. Alright, here's Stage 4 from Delta Eclipse. Now Delta Eclipse made another coaster in this park. So we can see this big wooden coaster here. Yeah, I think it may be worth investing in some other kinds of rides rather than just keep adding coasters in the park. Although it might be his goal to actually keep adding coasters, maybe make like a coaster kingdom. I don't know. But we also see this nice log flume here, so it is good to see at least one other ride here. We can see a large picnic area here. That's always nice to see. It's fun to see these little benches over here with guests sitting in them. Maybe it's also a good idea to add some umbrellas above these tables. Not necessary, of course, but I think it would look pretty cool. If you go on our website on the Swag Shack, you can see lots of examples for umbrellas if you want some inspiration. That's just an idea. Here we can see a little bulldozer. So I think this area is being prepared for a new ride as well. So yeah, I wonder if some other rides get added in the next stage. But overall, I think it looks really nice. Okay, here's the park from Derrick. I believe he actually removed his log flume and it was replaced with a river rapids ride. It's quite a whimsical river rapids ride. It actually travels up the waterfall here. It's surrounded by this dragon that travels around it. You can see lots of creatures flying and buzzing around here. And here it drops down the waterfall again. Doesn't look like the safest ride. But then again, this park isn't really realistic anyway. Well, I think it's a cool ride. I think it's quite fitting for this park. I do think it could maybe use some extra decorations over here. Although I do really like that these logs or these log flume boats were actually used here as decoration. I think that's pretty cool. You can also see some crocodiles around here, some hippos. Yeah, just lots of nice details. I think something which could make this area even nicer is just a little bit more focus on adding some nice ground textures. And maybe also some more thicker foliage. Probably could work well. Now, as for these paths here, I think these paths could also easily be spruced up. Like just add some wooden planks on it, make some of these paths invisible, add some nice fences around it, maybe some nice poles under it. I think that's maybe also some lamps. I think that's a quick and easy way to make it look super nice. But yeah, overall, I think this is a really nice addition to the park. Okay, here's the stage 4 entry from Fitwell. This is also a really fun park. Yeah, it's fun to watch it expand. We can see some new stuff happening here. So there were already these 2 habitats. So here's the old spaceship, which slowly gets dismantled. Here's like a little habitat with water. And it looks like now there's a transport system between these habitats. So this is actually a nice trick. You can see all these platforms here. And these are actually reverser coaster cars. So yeah, the reverser coaster cars, they actually consist of a car and 2 bogies. And these bogies, well, they work really well if you use them as a little platform. Something which I probably would recommend, since I actually saw a guest walk the wrong way here, is maybe put a little no entry sign here, so guests can only walk on these platforms in one direction. That's something that I might recommend. Yeah, we can see a new habitat forming here. It's also quite nice, has a little building in it. And the story also said something about contact having been established with with some other creatures which look to be human. So that's quite interesting. Here we see a scout craft. Not sure if that's of a vehicle from the other creatures. We can also see a space elevator here. I believe it's leading up to the UFO. So yeah, that's some nice details. Now and finally, they also discovered some other animals living on the planet, and it looks like they're quite huge, and they may have actually damaged the transport system here a little bit. So yeah, really fun additions to Fitwell's park. Right, here's stage 4 from Herbert. So Herbert added this area over here. So I believe he made this transport ride with planes flying around the park, called Funky's Flights, of course themed after Funky Kong. You can see some guests queuing for it, so that's nice. I like this little tower here, air traffic control tower. And to further theme this area, he actually built a flying coaster over here. And I believe this rocky section over here is the station, and then here it actually has a launch section. So it's actually nice seeing people make flying coasters with a launch section. Of course, after Vekoma did it, it's all the rage. Yeah, we can see a nice custom tree here. I think this is quite a nice layout for the flying coaster. It's quite sprawling, covers quite a big area. But yeah, it's I think it's a fun ride. Herbert did say that he didn't have too much time, or maybe he started too late, so we shouldn't expect too much of it. And I think it definitely could have used a bit more detail here and there. But yeah, overall, I think this is a fitting area for the park. Alright, here's stage 4 from Jess Handen. Now, of course, he's doing Bon Bon Land, which is a recreation of an existing park. And what Jess Handen added in this stage is this river rapids ride called Beaver Rafting, and it's themed after beavers. I believe in the story he said it was actually it's actually the longest river rapids ride in Europe. Well, yeah, I think it's a really cool looking ride. Doesn't really have too many drops. I believe there's one over here, but of course it's a recreation of a real ride. So yeah, we can see a large section with waterfalls here, a long curvy section here. You can see these bubbles under the water here. So I assume this is like a rapids section. Some other decorations along the track. So yeah, I think this is decorated in a really nice way. And I also really like the queue here. And he actually made these cars drive around here, and they actually kind of look like there's a rotating platform here in the station. You'll have to use your imagination a bit, but I think it's convincing enough. What I also like is these boats here on the outside of the rotating platform. I guess this is kind of like a transfer track. Or they can probably be put on the track somewhere over here. Something else that was added in this stage is this dinghy slide over here. Not really sure what this is. I think it's a shrimp that's on top here. And yeah, I think this dinghy slide looks really good. Yeah, I think it's done really nicely. We can also see this chain lift here in the middle, or this return track. So over here we can see this dinghy's return back to the station. Also see a little seating area here with some of these umbrellas. So yeah, once again, Jess Handen did a wonderful job in this park, and he just added a really nice expansion to his park. Great job. Alright, here's the stage 4 from Memes RCT. Now his story, I think it was a bit long and it really went everywhere. I think it would be wise to maybe make the story a bit shorter, or maybe a little bit more to the point, and not try to discuss a lot of things in the limited amount that you have. But still, some nice things were added in this entry. In stage 3 we could already see part of this coaster being built, and now we can actually see it completely built here. It's for a large part it's over the water. I do quite like this fence that was made around it, probably to deter any boats from crashing into it. We can also see a new coaster being built over here. Looks like a vertical drop roller coaster. Not really sure what this is about. Future RMC hybrid project. So it looks like they just built one track piece over here. Yeah, maybe it's a good idea to slow down a little bit and not try to keep adding a new coaster in every stage, because you'll probably run out of space at this rate. Now also this pair of drop towers was added, or there's actually 4 of them. Now these are huge. When you build drop towers in RCT2, maybe a good idea to not make them as tall as they would be in reality. A real live measurements are typically not a good thing, are not a good measure to go by in Rollercoaster Tycoon. Especially because if you make your coaster as huge as they are in real life, in RCT2 they will usually just look quite blocky. And for drop towers like these, well, you can see you only made them go up to around this height, or else the stats would just be too extreme and none of the guests would actually be riding these drop towers. So I think if they were just cut off up to here, they would look just as fine, and it wouldn't look as weird that they only go to around halfway on the tower. Alright, here's the entry from Nova. And Nova added this Egyptian themed area to his park. Yeah, I think it's a really nice addition. It's quite a big addition to the park. And we can see a log flume over here. And we can see this looping roller coaster having been added. You can also see this area over here. Looks like a seating area with some shops and stalls inside. Yeah, I think this is a really cool, kind of like some ruins. I think this is a really cool addition. You can see all these shops and stalls, toilets, etc. here in the middle. I also really like the glass roof that was made here. So you can take a little peek inside. Well, I think this area is quite nicely themed. You can see this big pyramid here. Lots of ruins. This looks like the station for this log flume is inside of this building here. Now, I do think here in the water, maybe some more objects could have been added, just to make this area look a little bit more interesting. For example, if we just take this area, we could just add a little bit of grassy terrain here. Then add some palm trees on top, for example. Now I'm just, well, probably not these. Let's go for these. Something like this. Maybe some bushes on top. A few of these. I think having a bit more of these tropical areas, especially near the water, would just make it look a lot nicer. Could maybe also put some ruins here on a little island. Or maybe in some extra grass in general would be nice over here. In real parks, when there's an Egyptian themed area, it's usually not does not have a lot of sand. Mostly because sand is annoying. It really gets everywhere. So yeah, typically I believe a Nile Delta theme is chosen, or just ruins, something like that. I think that would actually make it look a lot nicer. But yeah, overall, I think this area looks really cool. And yeah, I think all the buildings, etc. that were done here just look really good. Alright, here's the entry from Old School. Now, I believe he moved several of his rides in the park. Yeah, space is quite limited here. So in the story it said that the park was closed for an entire season just to move several rides. Now I can also see some of these arcade games having been placed here. Not sure if they were already here in the last round, but yeah, they're quite nice additions. Now, something that's completely new in this stage of the park is this inverted coaster over here. Looks like it uses these compact inverted coaster cars. So I guess it's akin to one of these Vekoma SLC coasters. No, it's actually called Iron Brew Extreme, and it also has the Iron Brew soft drink colors. So I think that's quite nice, just to give it a bit more of this Scottish feel. Now, even though I believe it's meant to be a Scottish park, the cars still drive on the ride here. So I'm not really sure what that's about. Maybe it's not actually in Scotland. But yeah, I quite like the location of this coaster. It looks like the pier has been extended a little bit over here. I think it's really cool that it sits under the crane here. Now, these trees over here and these planters, they look a little bit glitchy, so maybe that's something to still sort out. But yeah, I think it's a really cool addition, and I think this station also looks pretty nice. Okay, here's the entry from Open Magnesium 2. Now, yeah, my comments about the outside of the park that I made in the last video, they still stand. The park definitely could use more decoration on the outside. Yeah, it's just a little bit bare bones. Some of these buildings, they're just sitting here in the middle of the grass. And yeah, that definitely could use some sorting out. you definitely want to connect your buildings to something. Maybe have a little parking lot for the buildings. This definitely could use massive improvement. Now for the inside of the park, some nice new rides were added. We can see this little railroad here. I quite like this. We can see it's in a bit of a Wild West setting, although it does still use only grass here. So maybe you could play a little bit with the ground textures just to make it look a little bit more interesting. Yeah. Also, I believe this coaster is also new. Looks like it uses different vehicles on the track. So that's actually nice to see. And actually, it looks like it's still a powered coaster. So I think they gave it an invisible powered front car, something like that. I think this is a nice addition. Although once again, it definitely lacks some theming. Just put some trees, some bushes around it. Just put some objects around it. For example, it's called Hot Rod Junior. Put some Hot Rod cars around it, something like that. And that will definitely massively improve the way your park looks. Alright, here's the park from our Adrian 1994. We can see this park expanding nicely. In the last stage he added this coaster over here. I believe he also added this Virginia reel. And in this stage we can see this new wooden coaster popping up. Now, yeah, once again I think it's situated in this landscape really nicely. I love this little bridge that he made here for the wooden coaster. Yeah, this is just such nice interaction. You can see it pass over the path here and then through this tunnel, and the path also has like little tunnels in it. And this is just great interaction. The wooden coaster just looks really nice here. Yeah, station sign also quite nice. Nice little queue here. We can see a transfer track. Yeah, once again, the coaster just sits really nicely in the landscape here. So I think that's a job really well done. You can also see this little twist here right on the side of the river. And you can see all these beautiful buildings spring up here. You can see a little chairlift passing over this section of the park. So yeah, I think this new expansion in the park yeah, just adds a lot of life to it. I think it's definitely the way to go for the rest of the park. So yeah, I'm really excited for the next additions to this park from our Adrian 1994. Okay, here we have the entry from Savvy Adam. Now, he added several things to his park. So in the last stage, I believe we saw this log flume over here. And looks like something new is going to be added over here. So that will be quite exciting. Now, over here I believe he added like a pony rides. Here you can see guests riding these ponies on this field here. Seems like quite a popular ride, or maybe its capacity is just really bad. Here we can see some single tile rides. It's called Bull Riding Advance. So it's simply one of these yeah, steeplechase vehicles, and it's actually put in berserk mode. You can see another one here. This one's for beginners. But yeah, I think these are really cool rides that would probably fit in a lot of parks. So yeah, this, and I also really like how he colored them. Yeah, that's just a really cool addition to the park. Oh, we can also see, I believe it's a barbecue bar called the Slaughterhouse. Not really sure how nice of a name that is for a barbecue house. Well, to be fair, I would definitely eat there, but I'm sure not everybody could stomach eating at a restaurant that's called the Slaughterhouse. I think it is fitting for the farm theme though. And something we can also see here is the Spudfest. This is a stage where yeah, several Canadian singers are actually performing, or they can perform. So we could actually see Justin Bieber here on the podium, but here in the back pen we have Avril Lavigne, Bryan Adams, Shawn Mendes, Drake, Carly Rae Jepsen, and Celine Dion. So I think they must be pretty thrilled walking around, roaming around in their pen here. Almost like a cattle. So yeah, I think Savvy Adam made some really cool additions to his park here. Really nice and really well fitting in the farm theme. Okay, here's the park from the shack. Now once again he made a huge expansion to his park. So I believe he added 2 new roller coasters. At this point I'm not even sure anymore what rides were already in the park in the last stage and which ones were added. Because his story only said he added 2 new coasters to the park. Could be this Alpine slide, which actually used these bobsleigh coaster vehicles. This looks pretty new actually. Yeah, we can also see this go-kart ride here. Some of these orcish structures in between. Lots of nice landscaping. Tons of foliage in the park. So yeah, you can really tell the shack put a large amount of hours into his park. It's also already at year 97, which is incredible. For here we can see this this custom swing ride, and here we can see a big inverted coaster, also huge. I think it actually looks great. Yeah, just some nice support structures around the ride. I think just in general a really cool layout. So yeah, the shack told me he wants this park to be huge. So with these additions, he's definitely on track to yeah, to make this an enormous park, probably even bigger than my mega park was back in the days. Okay, here's the stage 4 from Uno Reverser Coaster. So yeah, his park, beautiful landscaping, and in the last stage we could actually see this stadium or pop up over here, and there were some of these carnival rides, and in the last stage they were still on partly on trailers, but over here we can see some of them have been moved yeah, in a more permanent spot. So yeah, the fun fair is actually turning into a permanent one, which I think is pretty cool. Now he also added a coaster in the story that said it was bought from DK Amusement Rides. And I recognize this layout because it's actually a layout that I built in my Forest Frontiers park once. So it's actually fun seeing my layouts pop up again. Now, to be fair, if I made a junior coaster layout now, I probably wouldn't make it like this, because this one actually doesn't have any track pieces going upwards. Maybe a helix, but it only goes downwards throughout its track. So it doesn't really have any negative G-forces. Not that junior coasters are really known for having big negative G-forces, but I think it would make the layout more interesting. But still, I think Uno Reverser Coaster did an amazing job incorporating this little layout into his park. I think it's situated here in this area very nicely. It looks like a little empty spot in the park here. Or maybe it was this building. I believe one building was torn down. But yeah, definitely curious to see what Uno Reverser Coaster is going to do in the next stage of this park. It still looks incredible. Alright, and finally we have this entry from Seklar. His stage 4 entry. We can actually see it's raining a lot. And yeah, he made several additions to the park. We can see this a wooden roller coaster here. Now, I did actually give some tips to Seklar on how he could make it look nicer. For example, this coaster does a lot of back and forth, and it just encloses a huge area. What I typically recommend players to do when they build a wooden coaster is try to keep the area that it encloses smaller, and maybe like when you do a return track, try to move right next to the original track. Most wooden coasters actually travel next to their next to other tracks at some point in the layout. I think it just of course it makes the layout more compact. It allows the track to share supports with other pieces of track. And yeah, when it covers less ground, I think it just looks much nicer. Now we can also see this air-powered vertical coaster here. Now we have actually done a contest once on building a coaster like this, And there's definitely much nicer ways to make these coasters than doing it in the way the game intends you to do. I mean, don't get me wrong, this isn't a bad layout, it can just be done much nicer. For example, what I would typically do is either use B&M track or the Giga Coaster track. Yeah, and you can make these vertical towers a bit further apart, make a bit of a nicer spire to it, and perhaps also add a more interesting layout rather than it just being like this elongated circle layout. For example, there was Hypersonic XLC that also that's what this layout is obviously based on, but that also had a bit more interesting layout to it. And of course there was the Donpa, or Dodo Donpa as it's called now. But of course that one has a much larger layout. But yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting layouts you could make with a track or a coaster type like this. Now, I did see a little bit of glitching here in the water, but thankfully it's not too bad. I think there's just one more a piece of scenery that's still on the surface. So yeah, it might be something to look out for. But yeah, I only noticed it in one spot. Here we can see a little bit more of these glitchy spots. I believe these, when these scenery objects are placed underwater, you should place them under surface, and then the water surface should no longer glitch. Here we can see another one. So yeah, that's definitely something to look out for. But yeah, I do think it's quite interesting storytelling. It's always nice to see, well, story-wise, it's nice to actually see a little setback in the park, rather than it just being good news after good news after good news. So yeah, I'm curious to see how the park will recover from this damage, and I really hope Seclar does find the time to do some of these improvements that I suggested. But yeah, these were all the parks that were made for Stage 4 of the Timeline Park, or Season 2 of the Timeline Park Contest. I hope you enjoyed watching them. I hope you enjoyed my commentary. If you liked this video, please consider giving it a like. It would really help out my channel. Yeah, you can find all these parks on my Discord server. You can find the link in the video description. Discord is completely free, so you don't have to worry about that. And if you become a member on my Discord server, well, yeah, we have tons of other people who also play this game. If you want to get into one of these contests, my Discord is a great place to start. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again in the next one. See you later.